Hello and welcome to our podcast at Get Legally Speaking. Our legal conversation today will be on divorce during the COVID-19 crisis. I am joined today by Miss Maria Scotland. We're recording remotely, which is what we need to do in this day, at this time, from 5 St Andrews Hill in Chambers in London. Maria is joint head of the family team at her chambers, and she is a leading family law barrister who has won an award for her work from the Bar Council. Maria is regularly instructed on cases involving high asset wealth, involving issues on serious non-disclosure, cases involving international issues and family trusts. Maria, thank you so much for joining us during this very bizarre time in our lives on complete lockdown.
It is, isn't it? Thank you for having me. It's good to see you again and speak to you again.
Absolutely. It's lovely to see you, albeit on a screen. And I will tell our listeners the date today is the 24th of March 2020. So the information that we are discussing is current as of today and now. We only had our lockdown given by our Prime Minister Boris Johnson last night. So if the advice changes, then me and Maria will be podcasting again to give you the more up-to-date advice that I'm sure will be issued.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question for our listeners, divorce during COVID crisis, is how do I get a divorce while government buildings and courts are closed and we're being asked to self-isolate? So say if I was just about to issue, or I want to issue, it was decided before we had the lockdown, before everything went crazy in the UK around 2-3 weeks ago, really. Talk us through that, Maria.
Well, what the take-home message from this podcast should be: the buildings are closed. And when you and I spoke yesterday, we were saying the buildings are closed, but there are exceptions to that. As of this morning, buildings are closed and there are no exceptions. So court buildings are closed throughout England and Wales, and no hearings are taking place in the court building. But the family court is still open, and it is now a remote court. It is being operated remotely. And what that means is that across different platforms, so whether that be Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, email, telephone, judges, barristers, and all the parties are still having their hearings heard in the court. So that deals with if you have already issued and you have a court listing. If you were going to issue and you haven't yet, then the court is still open remotely, and you can issue your applications, your petition online. And the place to go, your immediate source for information and also all the documents you need and how to file them, etc., is gov.uk.
Yes.
So the take home is, whilst you may be in lockdown, we're all in lockdown, we're all isolated in our homes, or should be unless we are key workers or those in the NHS, that you can still access justice and you can still take the necessary steps to separate and then divorce from your spouse, deal with child arrangements remotely online.
Okay. So gov.uk is where you need to go to issue a divorce petition. The court fee is still the same, £550 that you will pay upon issuing. If you've already issued and you're waiting for documentation to come back, I would say probably give it a little bit more time than normal, because they will have to get in to access documentation and then start working remotely to make the wheel turn. So that's a very loud and clear message. The courts are have switched, or in the process of switching to working online to be able to stay operational, to give everybody access to justice, and for people to be able to issue a divorce petition or to continue with that process that they are in. Now, the next question that's come in, Maria, is how do I apply for a trial arrangement order, a specific issue order, whilst we are in self-isolation? And again, the advice is the same. It's got to be online, hasn't it?
It's got to be online. It's again gov.uk, and it's an excellent website. Actually, it's really comprehensive and very simple, plain English. And you can make your application online. The application you need is called a C100, but the website will take you to what application, what form you need. And in the same way, you make your application online, seeking orders of the court, assisting you with your child arrangements and other important family things related to your children, such as preventing one party from taking the child out of the jurisdiction, preventing a child from being moved, those sorts of things. Now, of course, the ordinary court process, the ordinary court application concerning children prior to last Thursday and then prior to last night concerned, I want to see my children and I'm being prevented from, and I want to see them at weekends and during school holidays. Well, children are all at home.
Well, this is the thing.
And
we were speaking about this yesterday, weren't we? We were saying, if one parent is saying, well, actually, you can't come and collect the child because we're in self-isolation, and the other parent is saying, well, it's my day, my weekend, I want to have my children over here. I mean, we're probably going to see issues of that magnitude.
And there is some useful guidance already. Last night, the whole nation watched Boris Johnson tell us that he was instructing the British public that we were to stay at home and that he gave us limited exceptions, and then told us and you are to go out for no other purposes, and that the police have now got powers which include fines to uphold these rules. And so that left everybody overnight thinking, well, what about my children? This morning Michael Gove went on TV. He was first on Breakfast TV and then on BBC, and he made it clear and he clarified that the exceptions to the rule of self-isolation do include children moving between homes of separated parents. So that's the first thing.
Very key advice, that.
Yeah, and CAFCAS had put on their website some guidance setting out that those families who are separated and children that move between separated families should continue to allow the movement of children. So they should continue to uphold any court orders or any child arrangement plans that had been
provided everybody is well, everybody is feeling well. I think that goes without saying, but I think we need to just make that clear. You can't say, I've got a sick child. You're going to you're a healthy household and I'm going to give you the sick child because it's your turn to see the child. I think if there is an unfortunate situation where there is a sick child, or the household that the child will be going to is unwell, keep the child where the child is at present. That's got to be the sensible thing to do, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, all of this, we've got to have a caveat which says that everything's got to be done to protect people's health and well-being, and keep everybody safe. So you're absolutely right. The CAFCAS have put out their guidance and said that child arrangements should be adhered to, but what they didn't say, which we must now infer and is implicit, only if parents, carers, children can be kept safe and protected. Now, of course, that does, you and I know from past experience, that relies upon moral integrity of a lot of people, and that is likely to be an area where we're going to see disputes, where I'm not being allowed to see my child, I'm being prevented from, and she's saying that it's, the child's ill, all right, she's ill, and it's been 2 months, 3 months. We don't know. We're walking through this slowly and we're learning all together.
The good thing is we're still open for business, right? So I've got a law firm, Red Bar Law. You're a barrister at 5 St Andrews Hill Chambers. If people have questions, they can email us through Get Legally Speaking. If people have questions or they're in a desperate situation where they feel that they're being prevented from seeing their children or their child because the other partner is being actually not so truthful about the condition of health, and you need legal help and advice, then please get in touch. I think that's got to be the right thing to do, because you can. We're still open for business. Like the court's working from home, we are still working from home, and we are still operating our businesses in the shape and form that we are. So that's, again, very, very useful advice. I think the next question is, if people have court hearings, they're saying, who will initiate the court hearing? So say I have a court hearing listed tomorrow. What do I do? Who do I contact? I mean, this is in the event that your legal team, perhaps if you have a solicitor acting for you, that's got then instructed the barrister, if they haven't contacted you, what do people do if they've got court hearings coming up? Who's going to initiate?
Good question. If you've got a solicitor, call your solicitor. The general rule, the guidance that's been provided by the courts is that the applicant, so the person that made the application, is responsible for liaising with everybody, including the courts, and transferring the case to a remote hearing. So setting up the facility, whether it's by Zoom, Skype, email, telephone, WhatsApp, whatever it may be, for enabling everybody to have a hearing remotely. Yeah, exactly, and sending it around. But in these early days, if you're not the applicant, you're a respondent, get in touch with your solicitor and get them on the case. It's all very well saying that the applicant solicitor's got to be responsible for it, but if we're not hearing from them, then the respondent solicitor should do it for it. But in the usual course of events, the applicant, if they've got a solicitor, the solicitor has to take lead responsibility.
Yes.
If the applicant is a litigant in person and they haven't got a solicitor, and the respondent's got a solicitor, then the respondent solicitor's responsible for that. If neither party has got a solicitor,
any legal person,
exactly.
if one of you've got being legally represented, then that legal person should take charge in saying, right, I'm going to now conference everybody in, or make sure everybody can get in via Skype or Viber or whichever way they're going to join into this court hearing. But if neither party has a solicitor, then we're saying
then the court will be responsible. Yes. And so that deals with the arrangements for how is the hearing going to be facilitated. The next thing, obviously, is, well, how does everybody have access to the papers? As you rightly said, the courts are open for business, barristers' chambers are open for business, solicitors are open for business. And we are all very versed in uploading papers to PDF and making what we call e-bundles and then circulating those. So that's what's being operated at the moment. Hearings are going ahead by remote access. All of the papers are being circulated by PDF, so by what we call e-bundles of paper, by emails. And then witnesses are being taken and oaths are being taken remotely, interpreters are being linked in remotely. So the hearings are proceeding as in the usual fashion, but remotely. And solicitors and barristers are doing a really good job at the moment of making those arrangements. If you haven't got a solicitor or a barrister, the courts, contact the court and they will assist you and they take responsibility for assisting you.
And I think we need to say, look, there might be a few hiccups. It might take a while for people maybe to log on the first time, or lines might drop, or, just, I think we've all got to just try and exercise as much patience as we can. I mean, we had a technical hiccup yesterday, Maria, and it just happened, and you just have to exercise patience, and, it will work. The courts are on it. E-bundles are huge in the sense that this is a big progression for the courts to accept e-bundles within time. And if things are not posted in time, then I'm sure there'll be some lenience during this period. But just try and go back to basics in terms of technology, because it can get very, very sort of tedious and complicated. But having said that, there is a lot out there now that is making it easier for us to be online, whether it's by video and telephone or just by telephone. And just a bit of patience will help the process, so to speak.
Do you know what? All these technologies have been around for so long, and it is amazing. You and I spoke about this yesterday. The court's been really slow. It is amazing, the learning curve. Since last Thursday, the learning curve is so steep. I attended a court hearing remotely on Friday. 2 other members of my family team also attended remote hearings on Friday. One was a public law case which involved multi-parties, and then yesterday somebody else had a remote hearing. And then we also had some guidance, we being lawyers at the bar and solicitors had some guidance from senior judge yesterday, and he let us know that there were very complicated cases that have been heard in the last couple of days, all remotely. And the message was, be assured the courts are scrabbling around, but we are learning very quickly, and the technology is there, and it's business as usual.
Yes, no, absolutely. We've got time for one last question, Maria, and this is one that I don't know how we're going to answer, but we'll certainly do our best. And what if I cannot attend remotely for a hearing because I'm not tech savvy or I don't have the technology? What do I do then if I've got a court hearing coming up?
Don't panic. That's what I'd say, because we can still attend remotely by telephone. Or else, if you haven't got a telephone, I mean, most people have got a telephone, access to a telephone,
or can get access,
or email.
Yeah.
And if you really haven't got any technology at all, I do have a client I can think of who is vulnerable, and I had to go to her home, for instance, but she still had access to a telephone, and she texted me. Now, us barristers and solicitors are well versed in taking instructions from our clients, and we would have to deal with that in a safe and healthy manner, and then we can attend on their behalf. So, so we can attend on their behalf and have a video conferencing, and then drop out of the video conferencing or pause it and call our clients if needs be, if we don't arrange the whole hearing by telephone, or if there really isn't any means of our client accessing us and the hearing, then it can be adjourned for a later date when arrangements can be made to assist our client.
Yes.
But
so I think
the message is don't
panic. Don't
panic, and still reach out, ask for help. We are open if you are in any doubt, ask for advice.
No, I think absolutely. I think make it known somehow that you don't have the technology to be able to link into a hearing that is coming up. If you've got a legal team, if you've got a lawyer, whether it's direct access barrister, whether it's through a law firm, let them know what's going on. So just don't sort of bury your head in the sand and think, I can't do this, I'm not going to do this, it's not going to happen, and this is all going to go wrong. Maria, that's been incredibly helpful. And I do want to mention your articles that we are putting up on our website and across all our social media packages, because I think they're brilliant.
Thank you. It's all fast and furious at the moment. I think it's one a day.
It is, but that's good, because this is if this is relevant to people, and we're about to put up another article of yours regarding child arrangements in separated families during this pandemic. It covers some of what we've just discussed, but it's a more detailed version where people can sit down and take a read of it. If it's relevant to people, it's there. All we're saying is it's there. This is free information. It's to help anybody who these topics and these headlines are relevant to. And I cannot thank you enough for taking your time to do this. It's brilliant, and I love it.
Let's all get through this together,
Absolutely. And I think that's what's, it's, and I will say at the end of this podcast, we go to the end, that I'm seeing and feeling a togetherness, albeit it's all remote, and we're not in the same room, and we can only see each other all by video and by telephone. I am seeing a togetherness in the will for people to want things to carry on and work and give their help in the way that they can. And I think that's really nice. I do think that's really, really, really good. Brilliant. Yeah. So, listeners, don't forget to click and subscribe to our podcasts. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn by searching Get Legally Speaking. Also visit our website at getlegallyspeaking.com. Thank you very much for listening, and please keep well.